I had this which was saying, in the dating streets, love is really hard. And then I was asking myself, maybe we're confusing the two. Sometimes we look at it in terms of logic, sometimes we look at it in terms of love, and then we get confused ourselves in the process. So, is dating for love or is it for logic? Hello and welcome to Future Husband Diaries. My name is Maya Spanda. If you are new to this platform, welcome, and I hope that you enjoy the platform that we have. Like, subscribe, and share it with other people. But if you have been journaling, if you have been healing, and if you have been praying with me throughout this journey, welcome home. And I hope that you'll be having a great time wherever you are. So today I wanted us to talk about something that really affected me a few months back. And I wanted to really iron it out so that I can be able to understand how it is. And it's talking about logic and love. Right. So most of the times we always look at it, we always look at logic in terms of the head, and we always look at love in terms of the heart. So people will always be asking yourself, should I think with my heart or should I think with my head? What is the great course of action when it comes to this? So I've been asking myself, should you use your head or your heart? You know the answer. In the relationship that you're in or the relationships that you have been before, you have asked yourself that question. And maybe you have been in a relationship because of logic and you have been in a relationship because of love. And then sometimes you get to, you're like, I'm so traumatized from this. I'm just going to leave this and go to the other extreme. So I wanted us to explain what logic and what love is from the perspective that I'm bringing here. It might not be the right perspective that you are thinking, but this is the perspective that I'm bringing today. So when it comes to logic, most of the times you are taking into consideration that this is a good relationship on paper. That's what logic is all about. When you are looking into it, you be like, I'm getting into this relationship, I'm going to be dating this person, and they look good on paper. And they make sense on paper because you'll be asking yourself, they tick the right boxes that you have actually put up for yourself. Where you say, I would like a man who is like this, I'd like a man who's like this, and I'd like a man who's like that. And that person comes and they tick all those boxes that are there. And then you'll be like, okay, so this is good for me. And then you miss that certain spark that usually you have with other people. Or that certain connection. I don't want to say spark because when I say spark, people tend to think emotional, highly emotional and what. No. But I'm just saying that emotional connection that you might have with someone else where you actually love that person. The problem is getting into a relationship when you're just looking into logic, when there is no connection with that person is everything that the person does might end up irritating you. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone where if they call you, you get irritated? They didn't do anything wrong, and they're always asking, did I do anything wrong? Why are you so mad? And you feel the anger bubbling up, not because they did something, but you just don't want to be in that space at that time. And then you ask yourself, like, why am I still in this relationship? Then you have to remind yourself every single time. They check all these boxes. They are financially stable. They treat me right. They do all of this. They check on me. I do not know the kind of boxes that you have so that they can be ticked. But when you are just looking into logic and there is no connection with that person where you can actually say, I truly and I fully love this person. I'm just doing it because it makes sense. Yes, the right kind of space is to say, it makes sense, right? We are just logically okay. Everything is okay. And then everything that they do, you start to resent them. Don't worry. I have something in my throat. So you'll be asking yourself, like, okay, this person, they're just calling you. They're just asking you something which is like totally okay for relationships. They're asking you questions about yourself so that you can share more about yourself. They can get to really know you more or the things that make you okay. but you just feel that resentment coming up and bubbling up most of the time. Where, like, why is this person calling me? You called me like an hour ago. Why are you calling me again? Like, why are you being extra? Why are you being what? At the end of the day, that resentment, it might just be resentment which is just bubbling up, right? But if it gets to other relationship, it might just be resentment that can turn into anger, and you start to become mean in the relationship. You find that the person is mean not because they are actually mean themselves, but because there is something that has been bubbling up in them. Just looking at them and being with that person is not okay for them. I have been in relationship where it's just for logic. Yes, and I am telling you this from experience, where everything just irritates you, everything just bores you. And maybe if you are in a relationship because you like this and this and this about them, anything else which is outside that, it just irritates you. You find that there are other relationships where you see people who have been dating for some time or have been in a relationship for some time, and you always see the other one as if the other one is just following around, and the other person just seems to become mean and mean and mean. Most of the times, the person that is mean is because from their own mind, this relationship just is for logic. Everything is just making sense on paper, or they want to gain something out of it all. Maybe you are looking at it, let me shade in this way. Maybe you're looking at it in a future husband lens, where you're saying, this person will marry me, and this person will give me babies, this person will take care of me, this person will not allow me to go back to work, this person will give me the money that I need, this person will be there for me when I need support, and all of that, which is a total opposite from the ex that I actually have. That is why maybe you are in that relationship. But be careful when you're getting into such a logical relationship. You can get into that logical relationship, and sometimes love can grow from there, which is beautiful, right? You find people who didn't love someone at the beginning, but after some time, they start loving. But all of that has to do with the actions that you take and the mindset that you have when you're getting into that relationship. The reason is, if you have a mindset of wanting to know more about this person, of wanting to fully open up your heart and become vulnerable with this person, therefore, then everything will be okay. You will develop the love that you need from this person, and you might be able to live happily ever after with everything making sense and all. But it's all about the actions that you take. If you are not taking the right kind of action, and you're not looking into it where you're just expecting that person to pour into you, and you're just a cup which is receiving, because in your mind you are lowering your standards for this person, or this person is just there to provide a certain thing, at the end of the day, that is a dangerous space to be in. But if you are willing to fall in love with this person, become vulnerable with this person, show the emotion, that relationship will be able to grow and into a beautiful kind of thing. And the kind of love that is there are two types of love. There are two types of love that I'm just going to look at. Okay, there's this one where we might say emotional love, and then the act of love, right? So most of the time, because of the movies that we watch, because of how culture has made it, we have learned that love is all about emotion. Just how you feel at that time, that is the love. So if you look at someone, and the other person looks at you, your eyes meet, then you are destined to be together. That is not love. That is just some connection, some mute cute, somewhat. All of those things might be there, but that is not true and real love. Love is all about the action that you have to take, because love is not about the flattering and the butterflies that might be there. I'm not saying do not have butterflies with the person that you're with. You should have those kind of butterflies. Whenever you look at them, 10 years, 20 years later, you still feel that kind of thing the same way you felt, or it actually has grown more. But Relying solely on butterflies is what has made other people to actually hurt the other people that they're in a relationship with. But love is something that can grow. It's the connection that keeps on building up over and over and over. So the thing is, you choose to fall in love with that person the next day. Today you might love them, yes, but tomorrow you sort of like choose in the way that you act. What am I saying? You know their love language. You know the things that they really prefer. You actually put down your phone whenever you're talking to them. Focus on them. Give them gifts if their love language is gifts. Make an effort to actually put in the effort to actually make that person not to doubt the space that they're in with you, not to doubt the relationship that they're in. Make an effort, take it out of your schedule, out of your time to actually put in the effort so that that person feels appreciated in the relationship. Most of the times, especially when it comes to women, we have taken a stand that we have to be the one that is pampered every single time. I have to be pampered, I have to get this, I have to get that. At the end of the day, we neglect the men that we're in a relationship with. You find that you do not spend time with this guy. You do not spend anything on him. It doesn't have to be money per se. It can be time, it can be effort, it can be, just sharing and talking to this person. You are not really doing it. You are not investing into this relationship. Yes, it might get to a point where you still love that person still loves you. But at the end of the day, when you're now looking into the relationship is not worth it anymore. So what is it that you have to do? You have to look at love as a verb. Yes, look at love as a verb, as a doing word, in such a way that there are some things that you have to do to make sure that the other person feels the connection and their love for you actually grows. I have been in spaces where, they always say behind every great man is a good woman, right? The reason is, do you know that there are some things that we neglect to do to the people that we love, and it makes them to feel vulnerable and not to have the self-empowerment that they need, all because of we are not providing words of encouragement. We're not empowering them. We're not telling them that they can actually do this, because it is really important. Words are important. Actions are important. The kind of things that you actually have to do to that person so that they actually feel great is really important. So they look nice. They took the effort to actually dress nicely. Tell them they look nice. Don't just say, they know they look nice. Yes, they know that they look nice, but it is actually great. And even, it gives them a bump in their step to actually, after you have said that they look nice, whenever they're going outside, they still remember that my girlfriend, my person actually told me that I look good. And, they actually feel better throughout the day. It's the kind of emotion that they are going to have throughout. Tell them they look nice. Tell them that they can actually do it. Give them the strength to actually do it. I'm not saying that everything is dependent on you. They have their own strength and but it is actually great for you to be an added advantage and give them the empowerment that they need to be the greatest version of themselves. Because if we do not do that, we sort of like we are making them to be a little bit down, and we are not empowering to be in a better space. Because you being in a relationship is supposed to add something into the relationship, not actually be taking and taking and taking and taking. But we actually need to actually add something, because it is not okay for you to be in a relationship. The same space that I was in when I was single is the same space that I'm in even after I'm now in a relationship with someone. They are not bringing anything to the table. I'm not saying bring something, but I'm just saying even the words, the encouragement that I need, or even a certain perspective that I need from that person, so that I can be able to, bounce ideas out of you, show, all of those things. When I'm feeling down, you pull me up. Those are the things why a lot of people get into relationship, because other things they might have for themselves when they are single, but it is nice to actually share your life with someone else. That is why we get into relationship, so that you sort of like have a spectator in your life, and that person, is bringing in something extra that you did not have. But the problem is, especially when it comes to women, is the reason why you find ourselves settling and being desperate for it to date, and being desperate so that you get into a relationship so that this person will actually marry me. It is because of one aspect. It is because we are waiting for our lives to actually start. We are saying we want to be validated by the men that we're in a relationship with, in such a way that if this person, all your goals, all the things that you have, they start from, when I get into a relationship, this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do. You do not have goals that just are based on you right now. Like, you can have goals to say, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. If a person comes into the relationship, they'll just continue helping you and empowering you to achieve the goals that you have. But the problem is with most women, I think it's because of the culture that we grew up in, especially in the African culture. Most of the times we are told, you'll be like this when you get pregnant, you'll be like this when you are married, you'll be like this. It's sort of like our mindset is now in such a way that my life will begin after I'm married. My life will begin after I'm dating someone. That is when life will come, and that is when I'll actually start having these goals. So we sort of like now settle and do it out of desperation, and we take whoever comes, even if it's just logically, this person makes sense on paper, so that at the end of the day, my life will start. Do not look at it in that way. Your life can start right now. Actually, it started a long time ago. You can achieve all the things that you have with or without a man. That is how you need to be looking into your life. So if you have love, love should bring that extra added advantage. That seasoning that comes in, that flavor that comes in on top of the things that were already there in your life. So if you do all of those things where you are giving, that person is giving, and you're all in an act of love, your love will grow. But if you are doing it as a way of you are only just expecting, that is a death for a relationship. That is why most of the time you find yourself afterwards you're not in a relationship with someone, or you're in a relationship with someone and you actually hate that person. I found a lot of people, especially like with Christian setup, is actually even worse, because people will tell you cannot divorce this man. Imagine you have been in a relationship with this man and it's actually worse, and it's actually it's emotionally draining, it's everything, you're suffering in there. But you be like, at least I'm married. You're going around telling single people, at least I'm married. You should just take whatever you can get and get into the house, which is the worst advice I've ever gotten in my life. Just take whatever comes in, just get into the house. No, because this person is one person that I'm going to spend almost every day of my life with for the rest of my life. I'm going to share everything with this person. So if I'm not really liking this person right now, what makes you think that it will actually get better? It might actually get worse. So I need to be looking at it in the right kind of space. But then the other love that we have is the emotional kind of love. The one where everything is all emotion, is all what. I'm not going to lie. That kind of love is great, emotions going around and what. It feels intense, sort of like, it feels so intense, that kind of love, where you be like, I really love this person, and everything. But then at the end of the day, most of the times when it's just emotional in that way, there is some kind of abuse that might really happen in the situation, because that person might take advantage, or you might take advantage, and it's all sparks and all what. The highs are very high, the lows are very low. That is not the kind of love that you should find yourself in. And the problem is, that's how culture and the TV has actually shown us that love is. Love is people throwing tables and clothes and everything, burning things, burning houses, and then at the end of the day, be like, "Ooh, this is the kind of love." That is not the kind of love. The kind of love that is there is the true kind of love that is real and compact. You should experience it for yourself. I'm sure if you experience these types of different kinds of love, you actually agree with me when I'm saying, like, love should not be logical, it should not be emotional, but it should, it should give you that sense of, fulfillment, and that sense of, you really love this person, but it's not out of a sense of doubt, where you doubt whether this person really loves me. You're emotional, you're there, but it's settled, and you know that I'm building something with this person. We might be dating out of trauma, and what I'm saying is, when you're looking into it, you have this baggage, or someone hurt you who did a certain kind of thing, or who looked a certain way, or who did certain something, and this one, because this one doesn't do it, you just take one aspect from that person and be like, okay, I'm holding on to it, and then you're bringing that trauma. You might end up hurting the person that you're getting into a relationship with, and you might end up hurting yourself, all because you're just taking one trait out of it all and then say, this is the right person for me. But if you're looking into a broader perspective and not getting into a relationship straight out of trauma without healing first, we have to be careful about trauma creeping up, especially in relationships. Sometimes you might think that you're okay, and if you think that you have healed enough, but trauma just comes up. The way you deal with it when it comes up is the most important part, because if you look at it from a sense that I want to heal from this trauma so that I do not affect the person that I'm in a relationship with, therefore, you might be able to handle things that will come up. But if you look at trauma as a way that this person is just going to, sort of like you're putting a band-aid on it and not really healing, it will affect the relationship that you have been in. That is the problems that might arise just from looking into logic. And that is the kind of love that we have. So this love, for you to actually build it, I feel it involves three things. This kind of love, it involves heart, the mind, and God. If you make God the center of any kind of relationship and the center of it, or the foundation of it all, you make sure that in your heart you really have a connection with this person, and logically, if you are to look at it, you are compatible with this person. That is the kind of love I think is best. Yes, there might be others might prefer the logical, others might prefer this kind of emotional, but I feel this is the kind of love that will make sure that your relationships actually grow. I have experienced this one, and it might happen that, yes, it might not work out, but that kind of the breakup that actually comes up is actually, it makes more sense instead of that one which is very emotional. Afterwards, sort of like it sends you in a downward spiral, and it can make or break you. So make sure that the kind of relationship that you're in is the heart, the mind. It involves the aspect of all three, because there is no either or. The problem is we have made it to be either or. Am I using my mind in this relationship? Am I using my heart in this relationship? Or am I just taking God only, where you're just saying, I'm not saying just taking God, but taking it in such a way that when I'm looking at this person goes to church, I go to church, he likes me, then everything is good. I feel that is not a good foundation for you to have. So look into it and find out which is the right kind for you. This is the one that I found is the right one for me. What do you think? Which one is the right one for you? And which one would make you feel better in this aspect. So that's all that I had for you today, and I hope that you like, subscribe, and share it with other people that you think will benefit from all of this, and let us grow together. And I hope that you've been having, these conversations that you've been sharing, you've been having these conversations with yourself, and they're actually helping you to grow, and to grow spiritually, to grow emotionally, for you to actually rediscover yourself, because this is all about discovering yourself before you actually bring in the second person in your life. So that's all that I had for you today. Like, subscribe, share with others. See you next time. Bye.